Hey, Pastor Ray Barnett here with you. Glad you could be with me here on the Oasis. And as always, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time you're watching this broadcast. As you can see, I'm sitting here in a little bit different location on the Mohawk River. And you see one of these cabin cruisers going by on the Mohawk River. Or at least from this point here, you can see some really large yachts that will travel all the way from Florida up the Atlantic coast, come in through the New York Harbor, and then make their way up here, up the Mohawk, keep on going straight up to Canada. In fact, my wife worked with someone that was their hobby. They lived in Throgs Neck. And they would just take trips during the summer, leave Throgs Neck, come through New York Harbor, up here, up the Mohawk, and go straight up to Canada. Anyway, another beautiful day. Yesterday was very sunny. It was Sunday, and a bit warm, 90 degrees or so, but not really bad, not so humid. And today it's dropped down about 10 degrees. So we're at about 79 or maybe 80 degrees, low humidity. Just absolutely, positively beautiful. All right, I was going to say this is one of the places that I find God in nature. That's theologically not all that correct. I find God in the Bible. But as we all know, God's creation, as I quoted yesterday in my message, in my sermon, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. So you can, at least I can, see the work of God, the nature of God, some of the attributes of God in God's nature. You can't see, obviously, as much as I can see all around me here, but just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The other day I was talking to you about solitude versus loneliness, and had a funny experience on my way to this spot to do this video, and I'd like to share it with you. Some of you, probably many of you, are familiar with the song Cavatina. It's played on the classical guitar. Many classical guitarists play it. But it was the theme. Cavatina was the theme song for the movie The Deer Hunter back in the 70s, when that movie came out with Robert De Niro and Meryl Streep. And it's a kind of a the song Cavatina has always had. And I know many people who are familiar with the song have the same feeling. It means a literal feeling. It has a kind of, definitely melancholic. If you've ever seen the movie The Deer Hunter, I saw it years and years ago, but the movie itself is melancholic. But the song that was written for it and was played by the classical guitarist John Williams has a melancholic sound that I have not been able to find in almost any other song. Piano elegies and other instruments that play, saxophone, other instruments that can kind of really move you in a melancholic way. I have not found any song that can move me to a spirit of melancholy like Cavatina, played on the classical guitar. Yet at the same time, mixed in with the melancholic feeling is also a feeling of peace, which, when it comes to music, we all have our own takes on things and can't always explain, why we feel the way we feel when it comes to music. Anyway, I was on my way here. There's a cemetery that I passed by to get here to this particular spot. And it was while I was passing by the cemetery, this song was playing, Cavatina, in my car. It was a playlist that I'm not sure what song's coming up next, and it just brought me to a place in my mind where I was just reminded of not only the fact that, one day I'll be in that cemetery, but that one day all of us will be in that cemetery. At this point in the broadcast, you may be saying, hey, how is this supposed to help me out with anxiety and depression? And if you give me a little bit, just be patient with me. I'll try to pull it together for you. So anyway, Cavatina is playing, and going past this cemetery, and just immediately I began to reflect on life in general, not just my life, but on life in general. And I was reminded that this is, as the saying goes, this is the debt that all men pay. Meaning, one day we're going to die. One day we're going to be in there. But with that thought came some other thoughts, some too personal to even share with you. But I began to think about the past, my life, the past. I began to think about friends that I've known and other things, I thought about my own children. Some of you already know we have 5 children and we have 13 grandchildren, certainly enough to keep you busy. But I began to think about the times with, my own children when they were little, like my grandchildren are now. And it just brought me to a place of saying, how fast the time has gone. How fast the time has gone. There are so many people who don't realize, and I shared this with you just a few broadcasts ago, live in the moment. And to just connect with that for a second, living in the moment with respect to what I was just talking about, the reverie that I was in while Cavatina is playing and I'm going past the cemetery. I'm reflecting back. My kids are little, and now, well, they're not. They're all grown, 4 grown men, 1 grown woman. They have their own children, they have their own lives, and it's gone. I mean, that part of life is gone. Did I realize at the time that, I would be reflecting back? I think I did, but still, we have a habit of just letting things, the daily life just kind of slip by. We all have that habit, I think, of just letting the moment pass us by. Now, with respect to what I've just shared with you, I had some other ideas of what I'd like to share with you today before this event happened to me. The song comes on, going past the cemetery. The feeling that I had wasn't just simply melancholy, which it was, but it was one of compassion for people in general, for people that I've known that are not with us anymore, for people that I know now that are having difficulties. You know that in the pastorate, you're hearing people's difficulties, you're hearing about people's, problems. And I just felt, along with the melancholy, I felt this compassion for people, for my own flesh and blood, and for people in general, and for people like you. There's a saying, I'm sure that you've heard it, but I'm going to recite it for you. I'm just trying to think of the author's name, and that escapes me. But there's a statement that goes this way: waste not, want not, is a maxim I would teach. Let our watchword be dispatch, and practice what you preach. Let us not let our chances like moonbeams pass you by, for you'll never miss the water till the well runs dry. I started to say that there are so many old axioms and maxims and statements that older people have made or other people have written about that have a general application of wisdom to anybody that'll take the time to really think it through. You'll never miss the water till the well runs dry. That's time. I'm relating it to time. Twice within the last 7 days, twice, I met two young men. And both of them said the exact same thing. They weren't related. They weren't in the same spot. One had nothing to do with the other. And both of them said to me, well, I'm getting old. I said, well, how old are you? So this young guy today said, well, 30. Well, almost 30. 28. I said, 28? You think you're getting old? Well, that's how young people think, and I can say probably how we thought maybe, when we were 30 and 35. And it seems to me, whenever you talk to older people, of course I'm edging up close to 70 years old. And then I'll meet someone who's 85 and say, oh, you're young yet. Of course, when I meet like this young kid, I laughed. I said, old, 28. It's all a matter of perspective. And that's what I want to bring to you today. Keep things in perspective. There's an old Christian hymn that says, count your blessings. Name them one by one. We're certainly exhorted in the scriptures frequently to be grateful, to be thankful. But, when you're anxious or when you're depressed and you have problems and so on that we deal with on this channel, that's the last thing that's on your mind is being grateful, being thankful. But if today you would take the time to think about what blessings you have, and for many of us, I'll speak for myself, I have many more blessings than I do problems. The situation, the reality is this: we tend to focus on the problem because it demands more like the tyranny of the urgent I was talking to you about the other day. It just calls for our attention. Look at me, pay attention to me, and then it's at the expense of everything else that's in your life. For me, I often tell people I have many, many things I've never even asked God for. They just came. And if I take the time, which has become more and more of a practice for me, I take the time to just start to count the blessings, to be grateful, not just once in a while, but I mean to start to develop that so-called attitude of gratitude. When I think about all the friends that I actually have, it really diminishes the thought of, and there are few, maybe quite a few, but there are few who really actually don't like me. And then you concentrate on that one person, people who criticize you or whatever they do, treat you mean. You forget about all the friends that you have that love you, and so you just keep on going. You have shelter, you have food, you have whatever you have. I mean, employment. You get the idea. I want to just finish by saying, as you start to count the blessings in your life, it just lifts your spirit. If you're going to concentrate on your anxiety and your depression, well, that's what's going to grow. You're just sowing into it. If you get your eyes off the anxieties and the depressions, and I understand that it's hard because we talk about that on this channel quite a lot. I mentioned it. Simple concepts, but they're not easy to perform. So always understand that. Simplicity and ease are not synonyms, not necessarily, not in the case of overcoming anxieties and depressions. But it's simple. Count your blessings and name them one by one. I'll finish with this. Just today, no, it was just last night, I was speaking to someone who's going through some difficulties. And I said, in life, you could look at, here's a view, right? Or like this camera, you got a view. In fact, I could probably illustrate it by just doing something here. So you have one view, that's it. You have my head over here in the corner, and that's all that you see. But if you start to look around, right, and you take a different view, over here, we have some, I don't know if I'm catching them or not. We have some geese, and there's all these other things. And then if I turn this way here, you have another view. So what I'm trying to get at is that you turn things, you broaden the view, you're looking at it from one angle only, and now you start to look at it from this angle, and it changes a bit. Then you roll it, and then you flip it. And this is what I do. If something is not pleasant to me, a feeling, a sensation, whatever, circumstance, I start to roll it. I start to flip it. And I say, well, if I look at it from this angle, or then, if I look at it from this angle, then all of a sudden, you start to get a different perspective. And in most cases, if not all cases, changing your perspective will definitely benefit you. So try that today. Try to count. Not try. Do it. Count all the blessings, all the things that are going in your favor. Again, start with food and shelter and clothing and whatever else you can think of. Friends, family, whatever comes on your list. And watch how your perspective of things changes. You'll start to say, there's really more going for me than there's going against me. And that, my dear friend, is true wisdom. You stop concentrating on all the problems, or some of the problems, or a problem, and get a broader view, as I just did with this camera, because I can go further and switch around. Look at all these trees and all this there. All that's here, rather. But not necessary. You get the idea. So let me pray for you today. Father, help my friends to continue to manipulate situations by counting their blessings and counting their the things that are going right in their life, the things that they have that they just don't take notice of because they're getting used to it, so that they can not focus so much on their fears and anxieties and depressions and disappointments and frustrations and so on. Just bless my friends today, I pray. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Well, that was a nice breeze. All right. Tomorrow, I think it should be another nice day as far as I know. And God willing, I will be with you here on the Oasis and hopefully bring you something that will encourage you and help you to overcome. As always, I invite you to subscribe. We are a small channel, and that's to our advantage, as I always say, because I can actually keep in touch with you as you write to me and ask for a prayer request or a comment, whatever. So if you'd like to subscribe, be part of the group, just please do so. Make sure you hit the notification button. And then, a thumbs up if you are so inclined. That helps us too. Okay. Until I see you again, which hopefully will be tomorrow, I truly pray that the peace of Christ would be yours. God bless. See you tomorrow.